Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Zach Gershman, joined alongside Lexy Lideline and Logan Barandis. While the majority of the Penn State fan base spent their Saturday night watching the football team battle it out against Ohio State, Hockey Valley had its eyes locked in on Nashville, where the Nittany Lions took the ice to play against the 6th-ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Now, Lexy, Logan, we all know Nashville's the music city, and the blue and white had them singing the blues, no doubt about it. Starting off extremely hot, ultimately pulling off the upset 6-4. Logan, what was the number one key or the biggest key to this game?
Yeah, you mentioned it. At least one team for Penn State was able to get an upset against a top 10 team, but the power play was really where it was at in that game. They had 4 opportunities with the man advantage, and 3 different times they were able to convert. And if you're scoring half of your 6 goals on the power play, you're doing something right there. Connor McEachern continued his hot streak there, scored one of those goals. Clayton Phillips scored 2 goals in that game. One of them was on the power play. And then Ben Copeland was able to score his first goal as a Nittany Lion as well. So the power play was a really on-point unit during the game for Penn State. And while North Dakota even had more opportunities with that same advantage, Penn State was able to convert, and that's where it came down to.
I think the keys for this Penn State team taking away the win was really them staying confident and them not letting the little things get to them. You know, they had about 23 shots on goal to North Dakota's 32. They had 40% of the face-off wins, and beating this top 10 team was really a momentum changer. You know, they're coming off a 4-game win streak as well, now adding a 5th win, and Penn State is just on the roll, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, being on a roll is exactly what this Penn State Nittany Lion team is doing, cracking the top 25 for the first time this season, making it number 16 in the ranks, beating North Dakota while they were unranked. Now, we know that this game, based on the crowd especially, this was the complete opposite of a neutral site game. The crowd of over 14,000 people, one of the largest Penn State's had to play in to date, almost entirely filled with green. But this 16th ranking, it's a big deal for Penn State, especially this season. Do you think that their ranking at number 16, is it too high, too low, or is it just right?
I think I'll go first, and I'll speak for Logan and myself. I think Penn State is just right. You know, they had 71 votes last week for being in the top 20. I think if there was a top 25, they would have been around 22, 23. But, you know, Penn State is 6-0 in scoring first and holding the lead till the 3rd period. So I think that's really what has been showing the coaches' polls why they should be ranked. And they haven't really lost to anybody who is all that good. You know, they're just about to start conference play against Ohio State. And I think Ohio State will be a tough challenge, but I think Penn State has definitely earned this spot for sure.
Now, I know that have already been spoken for, but the biggest thing looking at the 16th ranking is that Notre Dame is at 17 right below them. And we were talking about Notre Dame at the beginning of the season as a team that could be better than Penn State, and their roster definitely looks that way. And Notre Dame, they're coming off a tough sweep against Minnesota where they played tough in game 2, but they are kind of struggling compared to Penn State. So are they better than Penn State right now, Notre Dame? I think that Penn State is the better team, so I think that just right at 16 is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I think there was a lot of, you know, earthquake-like conditions in the top 20 this week. You know, Western Michigan beat Michigan. Like you said, Minnesota beat Notre Dame. There was lots of changing happening in the top 20. And like you said, Penn State definitely earned their spot for sure.
And what better way to test it than with Big Ten play? We've both spoken about, all of us have spoken about how a Penn State team was in Columbus. Now this Penn State hockey team is going back to Columbus. They're going to be playing against the Ohio State Buckeyes on Friday and Saturday. With Big Ten play starting, how important is it entering this series?
It's really important. I mean, not only just from a school standpoint, but for Penn State to open up in the right foot from the Big Ten standpoint. Now, Penn State only played Ohio State twice last year, but Kevin Wall was really the big story during that series. He had 2 goals in their win and then 2 assists in their loss. So 4 points in those 2 games. Definitely played really well. And he's off to a hot streak so far in this season rather. So it's going to be a big key for this Penn State team. He had a hat trick in their game against Niagara, had 2 goals in their other game in that series. So he's been on fire. Even had an assist in the North Dakota game as well. So in terms of Penn State offensive players to look at, Kevin Wall, the junior, going to be a guy to look out for.
Logan, I have to agree with you. You know, Penn State did split the series last year with Ohio State. They lost the first game, but then won the second game. But like you said as well, Kevin Wall was a big player in the North Dakota game. And I think along with Clayton Phillips having a big game as well, Connor McEachran. Those 3 players who are leading in points for men's hockey need to take that fuel and translate it into this Ohio State game. It's the beginning of conference play, and I don't think that changes anything. Also, with Ohio State not being ranked, nothing changes. They need to prepare the exact same way they have been doing because that's why they've been winning games. So I'm excited for them to play Ohio State, hopefully take the win because they're in a much better spot than they were last season. So I'm really looking forward to this series, and hopefully we come out with a win.
Yeah, we know what they say. Momentum is contagious, and we'll just see. Lexy, you've spoken about how this team, you're excited to see what's going to happen. We'll see how much of a contagious bug this Penn State team caught. So for Zach Gershman, Lexy Lideline, and Logan Brandis, that'll do it for here on Penn State Sports Night. We'll be back next week bringing you the latest updates and stories around Penn State hockey.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.